Live from the tin can. I'm reporting to duty. Honestly, the people I can't stand more than Hollywood types are YouTube types. Now, for those who are not in the know, Hollywood types are people who used to be whatever in their class, uh, in their senior, in the promo, whatever. They used to be the actress. They used to sing in high school shows and stuff like that in their whatever small town. And then after they finish high school, they go to Hollywood because they're going to make it in Hollywood. And it's a type of person that if you live in LA, you know what a Hollywood type is. And 99% of 99999 of those Hollywood types do not make it in Hollywood in the capacity they're dreaming of. And basically, it's sometimes used to describe a person who is like very narcissistic and looking for attention. And like I said before, I believe that YouTube is and social media in general, Instagram, all that really mind destroying platforms is full of Hollywood types and people who didn't even know they're Hollywood types, and they become a Hollywood type because whatever, it became so accessible. So everybody's a Hollywood type in my eyes right now. And I mean, you have the Hollywood type, and then you have the OnlyFans type. And hey, do what you got to do to make that money. Shake your money maker. I'm not criticizing. You wanna get banged by 1,000 guys and be known as the most, I don't know, whatever rocks your boat, sweetie. I am not. This is a free world, so they say, and you do what you got to do to make that money. But there's still Hollywood types over there, and you see them on YouTube. They sit with those microphones, and you hear every breath you take, and you hear, it's just like, and they have all those lights. And they make this too. The freaking tin can beats all that shit, baby. There's nothing like the tin can. Sitting here with an MP3 app on my Android phone, beating the drum, not being a Hollywood type, not sitting there trying to expose myself and show off who I am and how I am such a great person. Instead of that, I want to concentrate on social observations in a more distilled way. And I don't even know where I wanted to go with that, but when I was sitting in my tin can before I clicked the record button, I thought about a graffiti that I've seen, and I discussed it in early episodes. But who cares, right? Like, who seriously? It's not like my show is the whatever Joe Rogan experience that people remember what I said like 5 days ago or 20 days ago. Speaking of Joe Rogan, I just want to sidestep here for a minute. I went to the beach the other day and it was freezing, man. I don't know why the water was cold, because over here usually the water are warm, but that was like Atlantic Ocean cold. That was like Pacific Ocean cold. That was like northwest cold. that was cold, like cold. All right, and I dipped in the water, and I could feel the shrink, and I took a peek, and I opened my my swimsuit like from the top, just to look. And I was like, wow, homeboy, what happened to you? You became so tiny. And then I looked from like another angle. I was like, you look familiar, because all you could see is like the head and then the balls. Like you could not see because the in between got so shrink wrapped in from the cold. It's like a reverse uh, hard on. And I was like, homeboy, you look familiar. I was trying to think, like, who do you remind? And I was like, that's it. Joe Rogan. Homeboy pulled a Joe Rogan on me, man. Homeboy pulled a Joe Rogan on me and gave me that no neck look. Just a bald head and balls. I mean, I was like, homeboy, you pulling JR on me like that with no notice. I gotta because my pants were wet, so they stick to your body, and everybody see how tiny your Joe Rogan is. And I was like trying to pull my pants because I didn't want to show like how tiny how Joe Rogan my homeboy became. And I was like, oh no, I hope no girl is looking, because when you have your swimsuit is kind of like wet, it sticks to your body, and then everybody can see how small how Joe Rogan your homeboy is. So that's all I wanted to say, because I just remembered it because I spoke about Joe Rogan. So yeah, my thing is definitely not. I mean, it's most likely the inverse Joe Rogan podcast that can be on the planet, most likely like in a minus position. But whatever. Anyway, so like I said, I was walking down in some downtown, whatever you call it. Actually, it was a beach area of like one of the coastal cities, a bit more larger coastal city here in Calabria in Italy. And I saw like a swastika, and then equal sign, and then the Star of David. And I was like, is this a graffiti against Jews, or is this a graffiti against Nazis? Because if it's against Nazis, because if you're a Nazi and you're being compared to a Jew, that's like this is like the last thing you want as a Nazi, is to be compared to a Jew, because you want to basically gas the Jews. Because like the whole point of you being a Nazi is that you don't want Jews alive, and then you're being compared to Jews. So I was like, wait a minute, is this anti-Nazi, or is this just a swastika, just a Star of David being compared to a Nazi? And then I was like, how? Let me follow the logic here. A Jew is a Nazi. That like what? How Jew is a Nazi? Because a Nazi is one that want to kill Jews. So this is what are you trying to say with this graffiti? You're trying to say a Jew is like committing suicide? Like Star of David equals Nazi. Basically, a Jew equals a Nazi. A Nazi wants to kill the Jew, so the Jew wants to kill the Jew. I'm just trying to apply some basic logic over here, because if you want to trash Jews, why would you compare them to one that wants to kill the Jews and thinks is better than the Jews? Like, the whole point of being a Nazi, it's like you feel you're the higher race. You're the cleaner and pure, the Aryan race, and you're better than the Jews. So how do you compare the Jews to what is supposed? So you're saying the Jews are the Aryan race? Or you're saying the Jews are Nazis because Nazis kill Jews? I just don't get it. So you're saying the Jews are Nazis because Nazis exterminate the Jews? What are you trying to say with this? Because you're confusing the hell out of me. Or you're saying Nazis are Jews. It can't be that Nazis are Jews because Nazis wants to kill Jews. And it cannot be that Jews are Nazis because Nazis wants to kill Jews. Unless what you're trying to say is that the same way that Nazis committed genocide on Jews, Jews are committing genocide on Nazis. So they're the same. I don't understand. I really don't understand. Or you saying I don't like Jews and Nazis, and I'm comparing them because Jews and Nazis are the same, because the equal is what you're saying, same. But Jews and Nazis are not the same by definition. So how do you make them the same? I don't understand. It's like making a graffiti of like a white person and a black person, and then you put in the equal sign in between, and then you're saying equality. Okay, so equality, white equals black. That means there is no differences between them. So you're saying there is no differences between Nazis and Jews, but there are differences between Nazis and Jews. Because Nazis wants to kill Jews. So I don't get it. I just don't get it. I think it's very insulting to Nazis to be called Jews, because Nazis hate Jews more than anything. And I just think it's illogical to call Jews Nazis because Nazis wants to kill Jews. So what are they trying to, like, there must be a better way to express what you want over here. And I think you're just using the sign because the swastika is like kind of a sign that is very, in Europe, the swastika is very, like, you would be surprised that in Europe, people are still talking about the war. And by the war, they mean the war, the World War II. They're still talking about, they're still not over that shit. If you think, like in the US, I would say people are way over it. They're way over it, man. People in the US don't give a shit. They're like, yeah, we fucking won the war, let's move on. They don't give a shit. But the way when I arrived I admit I only lived in Vienna, Austria for a couple of years, and I've been living in Italy for a couple of years, in the north and the south 1 year and 1 year. So my sample rate is very specific to those locations. However, I met people from other countries while living in those places. But so I don't want to talk out of my ass and say, I know anything and everything about Europe, while I really haven't lived all over Europe. I just traveled, and traveling, we all know it's not the same as living. So I don't know, but in the places where I've been and the people I've spoken to, I would say especially, not especially in Vienna or Austria, because I've also heard very bad. Like when you go to an Italian and you speak to them about like Austria and German, they tell you we don't. Some, not all of them, they tell you we don't like Germans. We don't like Austrians, even though they arrive in Italy in the millions for vacation. But many of them are going to tell you, we don't really like them because they still don't forget, and they don't really forgive. I think in Italy, for it's like Italians. The way I see it, Italians blame the Germans for Italy being part of the axis of evil. So instead of saying, yeah, we were shit, they're blaming the Germans. This is my analysis. And it's always easier like that, to deflect. When I was in Austria, I've heard kind of like the same argument where Austrian people were saying that they were victims of the Germans, and they have been occupied, but like they've been invaded by the Germans. While you clearly have videos from that time. I mean, left alone, Hitler was Austrian. I mean, and the whole race theory like started in Vienna. But forget about that. But you have videos from those. You have film like documented like how Austrians are receiving Hitler, and the Germans when they arrive after the Anschluss, like they applaud them. They're like, yeah, you're the shit. So it's always easier for people to say, yeah, you know what, I was the victim. I did not, this is some fucked up shit over here. I did not do it. Somebody else's fault. Somebody forced me to do it. Somebody occupied me, took over my government, and that's why we did it. It wasn't like I hated Jews or anything. No. That wasn't me. That was the Germans. And the Germans, I feel bad for the Germans because they paid so much money. Or like, listen, everybody fucks up. I don't hate Germans. I forgive the German nations, the nation as a Jewish person. I forgive because we gotta move on. A, B. I mean, the Germans, at least in the West, and I don't know now when it's unified, but at least the German government, I mean, they paid a lot of money, they did a lot of stuff, and they tried at least to make up, and they showed regret. And I'm not saying even Steven, but I'm saying, and again, if you look at history, there have been wars and genocides all the time, and I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying it's part of human nature. But okay, we gotta study it and learn it. But you also you can't. What I'm saying, you can't live with the guilt for the rest of your life, and people need to forget so they can move on. It's the same in interpersonal relationships. You can't keep on blaming your parents for shit they've done to you. Sometimes you can't forgive for yourself and move on. And it's just a healthier exit strategy, in my opinion. I might be wrong. You want to sit your whole life and blame somebody else? Go ahead and do it. And we'll see how far you're gonna pay a price for that. So back to the point. So the swastika has it's a symbol that is a shocking symbol to many, I think, Europeans who are trying to wash their hands. And I think it just makes a lot of people feel better when they see a swastika and a Star of David together. They're like, I feel less guilty now because look at them. You see what we did, what the German forced us to do. Now the Jews are supposedly, allegedly doing the same thing in Gaza, which is a whole different conversation that everybody can talk about, but I'm not going to go into that right now because A, I don't have enough information, and B, I mean, whatever, it's just not, I mean, if I was, I mean, I left Israel, but if I was the state of Israel, I would be like, I want to wrap this shit up in 6 days, not in 6 years. And this is a grave mistake by the state of Israel that is being led by what's his face, who is basically fucked up the whole situation. So that's all I gotta say. This should have been done. This should have been a 1 week operation. It should not have been a 2-year operation. That could have been. It could have been. I'm not. Listen, if you have, I don't know, 300 hostages and you're killing 1,000 soldiers supposedly to bring those hostages back, then you're doing something wrong. I don't know. I mean, all this stuff, and you have nothing to show with it as far as the Gaza Strip, like the Hamas is still there, then you have done something wrong. There's something that is not working on your end. But the good thing is that now, when this happened, all bets are off and all masks are off. Meaning, all the people who held who held inside their belly, and I call it like the big fart of Jew hatred. All those people, they could not, it was not, there was no social legitimacy for people to say, I freaking hate Jews. And now they received like that kind of like financial aid from some countries and people, and they also have an excuse. And I'm happy for those people because now they have released that big fart of hatred out of their system, and I'm telling you, they must feel like incredibly happy because, wow, like, can you imagine holding that kind of like huge fart gas balloon inside your stomach for so long, and like anywhere you walk, you want to put it out there, but you cannot. You got to hold it and hold it and hold it, like. And you keep on going through decades and years and months and days and weeks and hours and minutes, and you cannot let it go. And then one day something happens and I can finally let it go. It's just like, it's like, it must be very relieving to those people. I'm in a sense, I'm happy for them. I'm not so happy for the people who lives in Israel, because those people have been, to my opinion, living in, and also the Jews in the U.S. and in Europe, they've been living in denial for many years. And I'm saying it out of my observation because I have lived, half my life in Israel and half my life in the U.S. And I had the chance to meet American Jews, which some, by the way, were very nice to me. However, I must disclose that while I haven't really experienced, I'm not like an Orthodox Jew. I'm just like a regular person who was born to Jewish parents. And I'm not, like, if you'll see me on the street, you're going to be like, I cannot. You must be like from Russia or, I don't know, some kind of a European country or Eastern European country. because I don't have anything that says, hey, I'm Jewish. I'm sorry, I don't have a huge nose or horns, and I sometimes drink like baby's blood, but not like on a regular basis. So what I'm saying is, I don't have any Star of David on me, and I don't go to sinner. So what I'm saying is, I must say that until you really speak to me and you ask me where you're from or you hear my accent, you can't really see. And like the way American people express not racism, but kind of like like kind of like, oh, you're one of them, is like when a girl's, I used to have incidents where I used to talk to a girl and I see she's checking me out and I'm checking her out, and she gives me like the okay to go ahead and talk to her, or even she comes and talk to me, and then we talk. What's your name? Then, oh, you have an accent. Where are you from? And I used to say like Israel, and she's like, oh. And this oh is like an American girl's way to say, oh shit, I didn't know you're Jews, and a Jew, and now I'm stuck here with this conversation, and I cannot like really eject because I feel I don't feel it's rude, and I'm an American. I'm not rude like that. I don't know how to deal with it, so they say, oh, like oh shit. So now those people are like, oh. They don't have to hide it anymore. They don't have to hold it anymore. It's just like, oh shit, you're Jewish, get the fuck out of my face. So that's one thing. And the second thing, I must say that while most Americans were like, oh, in a polite way, telling you, oh shit, you're Jewish, you're Israel, I must say that while many American Jews were like very nice to me, specifically because they try to be nice to people from Israel. I mean, okay, that's very nice. I think you just got to be regular. But I also must say that if I ever experienced like a direct, I don't want to call it insult because I didn't give a shit, but someone trying to insult me for being Israeli, or somebody's trashing Israelis or saying bad things, they were mostly American-born Jewish people who felt that Israeli people are kind of like embarrassing them, and they had this whole complex of being Jewish, and then, yeah, I'm Jewish, but then I'm also, because I'm Jewish, like which country is associated with Jewish people is like Israel, and nobody likes Israel, so I need to be. So I think a lot of American Jews have inferiority complex with being Jewish or being associated with Israel. And I've experienced many times, I don't want to say hatred or racism, but you can say it's kind of racism by American-born Jews, or Jewish Americans, or American Jews, or whatever you want to call it. So I'm just saying, I'm just putting it out there. It's I guess that's what it is. It's I don't know. People feel that they need to always. I don't know. I'm just saying, just don't apologize for who you are. Just be who you are, and try to be a good person. You don't have to be like you're black, you're Jewish, you're whatever you are. You don't have to apologize for that. I remember I met like an Indian American person who tells me, no, but I'm American. I'm not. Like out of the blue, he started like explaining to me that he's American. He's not. Like, bro, just be whoever you are. And if somebody judges you based on who you like, your race or your color or your smell, because you use a lot of spices, then it's on them, and that's something they have to deal with. It. You cannot go and make everybody happy and make everybody like you, because you're only gonna get. You need to serve yourself and just be authentic and try to be a good person. And that's it. And if you want to hate, somebody wants to hate you, somebody wants to compare you to a Nazi without even knowing you, if somebody want to kill you, it's on them. And it's something that they have to deal with. And let's not forget that love and hate are very similar emotions. when you love someone, you think about them. Sometimes you're obsessed with them and you think about them a lot. You want to get close to them. You want to get physical with them. You're constantly they occupy your brain space a lot. And it's the same thing when you hate someone. They take a large part of your energy. You think about it, you're obsessed on it. And it's like if you credit someone you love for stuff that happened in your life, it's the same way you're going to credit or blame someone you hate for stuff that happened in your life. So if you think about it, it's almost like the same emotion or the different sides of the same emotion. So while people who hate Jews are like if I would be a Jew hater, I would not want to think about Jews or be occupied with Jews. But what happens with many of those Jew haters is they end up, everything is now in their world, everything is because of the Jews and everything is related to Jews. So what have you done for yourself as a Jew hater that you are so immersed in your hate then you basically let Jews basically control your life? Like, you're making Jews everything in your life. So what have you done with that? If that's something you hate, something that you don't want and you don't like, you don't need to deal with it. You gotta be like, oh wait. So hey, it's on you. I don't give a shit, because I could see that miles away, and I'm not being trying to make myself look like I'm the shit. I'm just saying, I knew as a young adult that this who read some history, that this is not the time, the post-war calamity, I don't know how to say it, the post-war era that is kind of like cool, is not going to last forever. And I don't want to say that I planned for it, because I didn't really plan for it, but I did. It was in the back of my head, and I did stuff that I knew that it's going to come back. What's happening in the world now, and I wasn't like a prepper, but I made sure to acquire several other passports if I could, and I made sure to move myself geographically from one danger zone to a less danger zone, whatever you call it. And I try to be not really tied to a place and be able to move around as needed in a very short notice. And yes, I mean, I don't have a wife, kids, and family, but that's by choice, or by design, or just as a result of my personality. So you can say, excuse me, that there is a bad and a good for everything. I mean, I'm sure that having a family, and having kids is a great thing, but it makes it a hell out of complicated when you need to pack your bag and go, or if you have a war going on that someone want to kill you, someone's trying to kill you. So hey, it's all good. It's all good, baby. If that's the world you want for you and your kids, if who you are is a person who is now obsessed in like going on a boat and taking bunch of selfies, so you can post yourself on social media because you're going to Gaza, which is a horrible conflict. I'm not undermining that, but I'm sorry to say there are like other conflicts that would demand at least the same excitement that is involved in the protest against this conflict. And at least one that I know of is in Sudan and in Ukraine. But you don't see people getting so excited about it. And if who you are is like 16, 17, 18, 20, whatever year old young person who used to be for the environment, and now all of a sudden you found a new cause. You don't fight for the environment anymore, you fight for Gaza, or you mixed it together, and then you go on a boat and you take a bunch of selfies and make videos, and then you post it online, and you see photos of yourself in the newspaper. I wonder who it serves. Does it serve you, or does it serve the people in Gaza? Because you're not going to be able to make it to Gaza. So what are you promoting? Like, I would say you would have been probably promoting. You would probably contribute. I'm just saying there are many other ways to try and contribute. If what you really want is to end the conflict, then I would say there might be a better way. I don't know. Maybe the best way is really to do it. But you can also try to take the same boat to Russia and to stop the war in Ukraine. And let's see how that's going to work for you. Or to Yemen, or Sudan, or North Korea, where there is a full country under a dictator that nobody seems to care about. I mean, he's known to like kill people and put them in camps, and he's performing genocide on his own people. And for the same argument, you can go and take a boat over there and see how that's going to work out for you. But the thing is that you don't have the balls to do it, because you know Israel is not going to do anything to you. They're probably going to take you and send you on a plane and show you a film and tell you bad boy, bad girl, and send you back, and then you're going to do it again. And that's the only reason you're doing it. Because if you were serious, you should have done that long time ago in other conflicts and other places where people are being genocided, if that's even a word. But you're not doing that. You're not. It's just because it's Israel and Jews, and it's sexy, and it's nice to hate Jews. So, and it became fashionable again. So good for you. I mean, for me, it doesn't bother me, because I read the European and American newspapers every day. And to be honest with you, I'm delighted. Sono felice. Ich bin begeistert. Je suis ravi. Sono felice. Ana mabsut. Ani sameach. You know why? Because you did not want the Jews in Europe. And you don't want the Jews in Europe. And what do you have in Europe now? You have Muslims. And you have African migrants. And you have Indian migrants. And no disrespect to any of those groups. Just read the European newspapers on a daily basis. And I'm not talking about The Guardian. I'm talking about The Bild, all right? I'm talking about newspapers that are just, I don't know, the Süddeutsche Zeitung. Okay, just Die Welt. Just okay. You know what? Don't read newspapers. Just look at the crime statistics and see the increase in crime, in death, in rape, in violence that occurred in Europe, including in countries like Switzerland in the last 10 years. And the statistics speaks for themselves. Okay, you don't want to have Jews because Jews have all the money and they control the world. Not a problem. So now, ho volato una bicicletta, adesso pedalo. Okay, you wanted a bicycle, now please pedal. Enjoy the crime, enjoy the migrants in hotels, that, this whole situation you have now in the UK, and it was previously, I think, in Ireland as well. Enjoy it, because it's beautiful. There is no bigger poetic justice for me than looking at Europe and seeing what's happening. When you have in Spain, you have tourists on the beach. It's a beautiful beach on a sunny day. And then all of a sudden you have a bunch of migrants from Africa unloading from an air mattress and starting to run. I mean, listen, man. You do you. You enjoy being a lefty. You enjoy being a righty. You enjoy hating. You enjoy wanting to kill Jews. You enjoy that while you can, because you are next, baby. You are next. They're coming for you. They're destroying Europe. They're destroying your social system, your welfare state. The bankruptcies in Germany are off the chain. The bankruptcies in Austria are off the chain. The deficit has been increased now. The deficit level has been increased by Merz in Germany, because there is no dinero, kein Geld, okay? No more, okay? Keine Geld, nothing. There is no Faluski, okay? So you do you. And Putin is on the other side, just eating popcorn and poking you in the eye, And it's great, because you are, listen, it's poetic justice, and you're doing it to yourself. So enjoy. Keep up the good work, because, this is what you deserve. So enjoy it. Enjoy it, because you see now you have like in Australia, you have those the left wing Free Palestine demonstrations, and then you have clashes between them and right wing Nazi whatever crowd, and they're starting to fight. So, I mean, you're doing it to yourself. You're fighting yourself. You're not fighting. You're not, seriously, nobody gives a shit. You're just doing the work for Xi and Putin and Iran and North Korea. You're doing their dirty work. You're doing it for them. Because the more destroyed and the more fragmented and the more energy is going to be in between groups in the Western world, it's going to be easier for them to break you. And this is what they're doing. They're just sitting, and they have patience, right? They have patience. They don't need to get elected next year or in 4 years or in 5 years. They don't give a crap. They have almost unlimited supply of people for the meat grinder, and they're just going to throw people and drones at you, and they're not going to stop. and you can do whatever you want, but eventually um, you're doing it to yourself with what you think you're so righteous and right and like you think you're sitting there and you feel so good about yourself. Yeah, I'm fighting for Gaza. Yeah, I'm fighting for this. Or on the other side, like you're on the right wing. Yeah, fuck them, fuck them. Eventually, you just destroying yourself. This is the collapse of Western society, happening in front of our eyes, slowly but surely.